So we're going to be reacting to a video today. It's by Sydney Watson, I believe her name is. Yep, Sydney Watson. I'll link the video and everything down below. I'm going to be reacting to her video. It's called White People Bad Part 3. Apparently we can't experience murder. I thought it was interesting. Just got some thoughts on it. I watched a couple of her other videos, and I watched the first video I ever watched of hers was the OnlyFans one about the website Capitalization on Loneliness. I'll also link it below. And then after I watched the White People Bad Part 3, I actually watched another one about her being a conservative. I like watching these type of videos because of the fact that I like seeing other people's point of views. I don't like living in an echo chamber. I like challenging my own ideologies and ideas, being able to give my own thoughts on it. In the video, she does say to be respectful, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be respectful. I'm not going to criticize or anything like that. I'm just going to give my opinions. Hopefully, we can have a dialogue about it. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so anti-white rhetoric. I have seen a lot of it, a lot more than usual floating around recently. Probably a good indicator that it's time for an asteroid or a new flood. Or a plague. Don't go there. So here we are, brought together to explore that phenomenon some more. As always, some of you might remember such episodes as white people cooking non-white food is racist. Apparently rape didn't exist among native populations until white people came along. Jogging has always excluded black people.
So this right here, jogging has always excluded black people. If you actually read it, it says born in Little White Oregon or Lily White Oregon. It's a sport that's long claimed to be for everyone, even as African-American joggers have been persistently subjected to harassment and worse. I do disagree with that, with what she's saying about that, because what the point of that article is, just from this segment, from what I'm seeing, what it's talking about is that it's talking about black people getting pulled over more. Or I shouldn't really say pulled over because you're not in a car, but black people get talked to, harassed more. For instance, for me, I've been in a neighborhood before, even in kind of my current neighborhood where I live at. I will go jogging early in the morning, like at 5 in the morning. It'll be cold outside, so maybe I will be wearing a hoodie, and the police will pull over and talk to me and be like, hey, what are you doing? Where are you going? For most white people, they don't experience that. They don't experience themselves being pulled over by a police officer just for jogging in your neighborhood. Just something to think about.
Petition to put white cis dudes on a barge and float them out to sea. I mean, like, joke's on you, we just colonized that as well. I don't know what to tell ya. We'd have an army of sharks by the end of the week.
Yeah, I'm not sure about her type of humor. I still can't quite put my finger on it. You know, I know people have different senses of humor. You know, some people have like dry humor, like The Office. Yeah, I'm not sure how to actually react to that, to be honest. On one hand, I get it. We need to joke about stuff, don't get me wrong. But making a joke about colonization, I'm not sure what to feel about it. Do I think it's funny? Not really. But, you know, it is a joke. Some people may laugh about that. Some people be like, oh, that's ironic. That's funny. You know, I just don't think it was a good joke. Moving on from there.
Coca-Cola is having employees complete online training that teaches them to be less white. The seminar, which is available on LinkedIn, tells people that being less white is to be less arrogant, less certain, less defensive, less ignorant. Yeah, so these are traits not found in any other racial group. Just the whiteys. Full disclosure as well, I'll add here that Coke says that this seminar is not the focus of their online training, but is effectively part of their learning plan to build an inclusive workplace. The training includes access to LinkedIn Learning on a variety of topics, including diversity, equity, and inclusion. We will continue to refine this curriculum, they say. Inclusivity really has taken on a brand new definition these days. Kind of feels like people use it when they're saying they want anyone but white people.
First, let me touch on Coca-Cola part of it. So Coca-Cola, I think that's wrong, honestly. Like, you shouldn't be saying for people to be less white. It's not, I don't think, appropriate. I can see how that can be offensive to people who are white. And just like if they say, don't be black, stop being so black, it would be offensive to black people. I can see how that can offend people. And then we think that white people should just take it. I don't think they should necessarily take it. I don't think that's right. Inclusivity. Some people think that we should be separate from white people. I've heard a lot of debates, and I kind of go back and forth with it, honestly, about inclusivity, because I do think that it's better to be around your own people in the neighborhood, as long as within a neighborhood, everybody has the same rights as everyone else in that country. But that hasn't necessarily been the motto for America. They would put us in these ghettos, people who are minorities in these ghettos, and then they would give them worse health care, less hospitals, more liquor stores, more gun stores. The school systems would be worse. In terms of what she was talking about though, about inclusivity, excluding white people, thing that I think about it is that white people are the majority in America, and since you're the majority, inclusivity is not gonna include you. The definition I'm gonna read is gonna be from dictionary.com. Aiming to include, integrate all people and groups in activities, organizations, political processes, etc., especially those who are disadvantaged, have suffered discrimination, or are living in disability. So pretty much, like I was saying, people who are disadvantaged, minorities in this country, they are the ones that are trying to be included. I don't necessarily agree with her on this part of it by excluding white people, because white people are already the majority. So minority groups, the disadvantaged people, the black people, the Hispanic people, or Mexicans. And by the way, the only reason why I say Hispanic is because for me, the difference between Hispanic and Mexican is that Hispanics is they're born in America, like myself, and then Mexicans are born in Mexico or Mexico. So disadvantaged people trying to be included in the majority, and white people being the majority, black people being the disadvantaged. Moving on.
The really sad thing here is that this training reminded me of that cut video that went viral a couple months ago. Do you guys remember? The one that asked what white people are superior at? Mayonnaise, apparently.
Using mayonnaise in a lot of their recipes.
Mayonnaise definitely tastes like a bag of smashed buttholes, but I can live with that. But then this video takes a very sharp turn and we end up with this.
Thinking that they are superior.
Self-delusion.
Controlling the narrative.
Believing their own press.
Marketing of white superiority.
Whether you are Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're conservative, like white people are really good at upholding white supremacy.
How about claiming that, you know, they are actually a whole separate race, when actually white DNA comes from the black female?
Oh! Shit, that's like a joke.
When I watch this kind of content, I always like to think about what would happen if someone were to say these things about literally any other group of people, that they're better at oppression and just being generally awful.
Laura, what you're seeing behind me is one of multiple locations that have been burning and...
I'm kind of mixed on this, to be honest. I get it. It seems like she's kind of ignoring, I don't know if she's ever acknowledged the fact of the 500 plus years of oppression and slavery, and minorities in general, just all the people who are disadvantaged in this country. Well, she doesn't acknowledge it, at least in this video, I know for sure, even though I did kind of trim down this video. And I think that's something that does need to be talked about. I don't think it's something that needs to be shied away from. We all know what occurred. And I think that, especially with America, we don't acknowledge the fact, or we try to ignore the fact that all of that happened, even though that made America. I think you should come to the conclusion that, hey, you know, I know that we did some bad things as a race. Even though you didn't properly do it yourself, still your ancestors at some point did contribute to the oppression of minorities. I'm kind of talking to her right now, but, you know, she may never watch this video. Just the people in general. If you can ever acknowledge the fact that all of this happened and that you don't deserve any criticism, yeah, I think you're sadly mistaken. Kind of forgot what I was going to say, but I'm going to continue the video.
Now, some of you might be thinking, Sydney, this is bad, but it's not that bad. So I went ahead and found some things that are arguably worse. Like the idea that white people can't experience murder. Can POC kill white people? Of course. It's bad, though understandable. Is it though? But it's not murder. It's killing. Your individual experience, my mother was killed by a person of color, does not justify you calling that act murder. When you call things like that murder, you are dehumanizing the actual victims of murder. Ah, yes. University logic. So truthfully, I don't know how real it is. I don't know if a leftist wrote it. I don't know if it originated on 4chan as a joke. I don't know where it came from. I'm not its mom. But either way, it did in fact prompt me to go and look into the idea that white people can't be murdered. And I found something that made me die a little bit inside, that I'm now going to share with you, so you too can die a little inside. Huh, I'm like a poet. In 2019, the Yerba Buena Center of the Arts, which I know I'm saying wrong, please don't yell at me in the comments, in San Francisco screened a movie by one of their fellows called Why Don't We Murder More White People? Who in the actual fuck? Roll the clips.
I think about white people in many different contexts, and it's upsetting sometimes to think about how much whiteness invades my life and my mind, like my world.
I don't think about you at all.
I'm angry at white people most of the time. Most of the time.
I mean, I'm just mad about this music. Who made this executive decision? Someone with lemons for ear holes? This definitely has a serial killer vibe. That much is obvious. You get less funny with every passing day. Yeah, but at least I don't have lemons for ear holes or live in San Francisco.
I think the reason why we don't order white people is because they are protected in a sense. No one wants to harm the innocent looking white girl, or no one wants to harm, even if they're in a context where they're angry and being as violent as the same person of color who's doing the same thing that they are, they're seen as more innocent.
Like I said, as long as you can acknowledge that this is not coming from nowhere, that, you know, there was hundreds of years of oppression that contributed to this. It wasn't just like, oh, they did nothing to us, and then all of a sudden we just want to kill all the white people. They've done a lot. Like, they've wiped out the native population. They did slavery, all the laws that were put in place in this country to keep minorities down. Moving on though.
So you guys are gonna notice this trend throughout this video. We've already seen it with the Coke thing, where people like to make a distinction between white people and whiteness, where apparently whiteness is the thing that's abusive and violent and undesirable and so on.
You're an idiot.
So really quick before this clip continues, I have noticed that she does, when I say she, I mean the YouTuber Sydney Watson, she does tend to insult people who are, I shouldn't say insult people, but I guess I call it what it is, insult people when they say like you're an idiot and things like that and you're stupid. At the end of the video, she talks about being nice in the comment section and things like that. I find it hypocritical. Later on, like I said, you'll see, okay, well, you want us to be nice to you, but then you attack other people for being idiots and stupid and things like that. You can inform people of what you think and what your opinion is without having to insult someone for thinking the way that they think. You know, I try my best to not insult somebody when I'm giving my opinion on something. You know, I don't ever try to belittle someone when I'm giving my opinion.
Now, if you've been here a minute, you already know what I think about this. I get very tired of seeing anti-white rhetoric and anti-white sentiments again and again and again. I don't think it's helpful. I don't think it pushes society forward, and I think it's a reasonably regressive way of thinking about things. Nobody is going to make videos like the ones that you've looked at in this video about other ethnic groups or racial groups. Nobody's gonna make a video accusing Asians of being better at oppression or black people being better at believing their own hype. Unless, of course, they're Colin Kaepernick.
And before I move on, though, like she's saying about this anti-white rhetoric and all that stuff, it's kind of a coping mechanism for minorities. You know, it's a way for us to stick it to the man. Because there's a few other ways for us to do it. You know, like comedy is a way to do it, like stand-up comedy. That's why you hear so many white jokes about from comedians and all that. But it's just our reality, you know, as minorities. If you're a minority in this country, you know that you're oppressed, and you know, I may not agree with it per se, but I understand it. And I don't think she understands it. She doesn't understand it, I don't think, and she doesn't agree with it.
I've said it before, but I will say it again. I am increasingly disturbed by how normalized this kind of attitude is, and how none of this is viewed as destructive or harmful to the white people that are being accused of being oppressive and evil. That just whiteness by virtue of being whiteness is a bad thing. That no matter what we do, whether it's inactive or active, we are still perpetuating and participating in racism.
I kind of debated on this in my head as well, is okay, well, whether you're actively participating in racism or you're not, does that make it right for a white person? A conclusion that I came with right now, and this can always change, you know, my mindset's always going, and I'm always reading articles, and I'm always changing my ideas. But right now, as of today, my idea is that if you're part of a system that is meant to oppress other people, and you either do nothing, say nothing, or you contribute to that system, then I think you are a participant in the system. That's just my take on it. I used to think that racism was only not liking somebody because of their skin color, but then I realized that it's more than just that. It's not liking somebody because of the color of their skin, and or you actively participating in this system or not trying to break down this system that is meant for you to thrive. You know, this is just me watching a few of her videos, I don't know, her mindset or whatever it may be. I think that she believes that if you're not actively participating in racism, then you're not necessarily racist. You're not contributing to trying to break down that system that is meant to oppress other people, then you are considered racist in my eyes. So that was the whole video. Like I said, I don't think it is constructive per se, but like I said, I understand it. I get why people do it. It's not like it's coming out of nowhere. It's not like it is, it's not like it is just out of the blue. Just something to think about, those are kind of my thoughts on the video itself. It's a good conversation to have, honestly. The oppressor typically is thinks that they're oppressed. A lot of people would be like, oh, she's just dumb, or she's stupid, or she's overreacting, or things like that. But like I said, I get it. Other than that, leave your comments below, and I'll talk to y'all later.